Hi all, really glad to be here.
Hi, everybody. I guess we'll start with a little round of introductions. Would you like to go first?
Yeah, hi all, I'm Yura, founder and CEO of Cryfi. I'm really delighted to be here. Would speak mostly from my own experience of creating a tokenomics and creating the airdrop campaign. Would love to share some insights.
Yeah, hi, everybody. I'm Jason Fernandes, co-founder at AdLunam Inc. What we do is essentially help projects in the lead up to their public sale. So that's connecting them with advisors, mentors, exchanges, sometimes other launchpads, helping them in marketing resources, and then essentially shepherding them through the process of becoming a publicly listed token, listing on exchanges, and having a very successful IDO or IEO. So we basically work in the lead up to companies doing a public sale. So that's me. Let's get started.
Yeah, so Jason, from the beginning, I would like to ask you, what do you think makes a robust tokenomics model?
Oh, thanks. So that's a very complicated question. There's a lot of different components that go in, but I would say the sort of main three components would be utility. There's also sort of distribution, the emission schedule, sort of how that token grows over time. And then the last one would be, and of course I'll talk a little bit more, the last one would be deflationary mechanisms, right? So utility, to start off with, a lot of companies will generate a token without very much information on sort of where the value of that token is, how that token, what is the business of the company, and how that token accrues value over time, right? Like they don't really give a lot of companies don't give a lot of thought to that. It's actually trivial to create a token from a technological perspective. It's ascribing the value to it and ensuring that token will grow over time, will become more valuable. That's sort of the challenging thing from a perspective of tokenomics. That's when it comes to utility. Another really important part is the distribution schedule of the token. Like how is the token structured? So for example, what are the various different buckets that you've placed in. So for example, how much has gone to the team? How much has gone to investors? How much has gone to seed investors, private investors? And then how much have we left for community, right? Because most projects will need a significant amount of tokens to grow from a community perspective, right? You'll notice that some projects, they have a very large allocation for team. And that's a red flag because you want to wonder why is it that the founders have taken up so many of these tokens and not left enough for the company to grow. Another is, of course, distribution schedule, right? So it's a question of how exactly does this token grow over time? How does the supply evolve over time? You might control the supply really well when you're first launching the token, but then what might happen is you might introduce quite a bit of liquidity on exchanges, and that leads to a lot of downward sell pressure that has not been accounted for by, let's say, other parts of the company. Have they ensured that there's enough utility, that there's enough value in the token, there's enough hype, people are interested in the token, or is it something that they're doing completely independently? They're building a company on one end, and then they're releasing tokens basically willy-nilly on exchanges just whenever they want, right? So it comes down to really controlling that supply and ensuring. So you want to see the token distribution schedule as an investor. That's something we look at, quite a bit. You'll see that projects will really control the token at launch, and then immediately afterwards, the inflation is just insane, right? Like I once asked a project when I was making an investment. I said, hey, what's your total number of tokens at TGE? What's your circulating supply at TGE? And the number was incredibly small. It was somewhere around $96,000. And I said, how is that happening? Like, how does that work? How are you building this entire thing with only $96,000, that's being unlocked? He says, well, most of the tokens get released 5 minutes after TGE. So I said,
never heard this before.
So I said, so the question really is, what is the total number of tokens out in the system in the first 24 hours of the token launching, right? When we say TGE, we don't really mean the exact second that TGE happens. We really mean like in the first day or in the first few months post the launch. And a lot of times entrepreneurs will say, oh well, the token supply at TG is tiny, it's tiny. But in actuality, right after that, it grows massively. So that's one of the things that I think you really have to look at. Finally, when it comes to sort of the things that will contract the token, right? So what are the deflationary measures that are in? In some cases, the deflationary measures are solely sort of having the token better distributed among various different stakeholders. Another is you can actually burn tokens, right? So you can choose to say, hey, after a little while, we're going to destroy, a certain amount of tokens. A good example is Binance, right? So what Binance did is they connected their what would normally be an equity investment. Normally, a company is as the company does better, the tokens, the equity of the company is worth more. But that may not, translate when it comes to tokens. So, but Binance linked those two by saying, hey, we will burn our tokens based off of our quarterly revenue, right? So essentially, what that does is it directly connects the future of that company and what it's doing to the utility, right? And how the token, there's less supply in the system because those tokens are burned because the company's revenue is gone up. So that's like one of the really interesting ways you can sort of control token structures and the inflation in the system. But I'm curious, I know, another one of the things they're talking about is airdrop design. So, Yura, I would love to hear, your thoughts on airdrop design. What are some of the main things to look at when constructing good airdrops?
Yeah, sure. So what I'm thinking is vital is, first of all, defining what is your target audience for the airdrop. Is it long-term holders? Is it just random holders, which could be also the case? Or is it actually your users that you want to attract? After that, you need to figure out what is the distribution and actually find out what is the security risks that could come later on, right? How to protect your airdrop from the Sybil attacks and bots. And I think it's even actually from where you need to start, right? Because now most of the airdrops are getting abused as crazy, especially with the hype for the top games, hamsters, not coins. Yeah, on the books, on the papers, you have billions, millions of users, but I'm sure that 80%, 90% of them are bots, right? And that's just purely statistics. So what we did at Cryfi, I would do a quick introduction. So we are building the marketplace where any trader can monetize the skills through a signal trading. Which means our target audience are, from one side, pro traders and trading bots, and from other sides, signal consumers, which are regular traders who want to either learn trading or earn from someone's knowledge. And in our version of the airdrop, we really target our users, not random people, not airdrop hunters, but actual customers. Because how it works in our current app is that for every action that you do inside of the app, you get rewarded with experience points, which will be later translated to the airdrop. Which means that, yes, of course, there will be a plenty of bots who will mine and earn the free airdrop, but we limited this amount to the minimum by making the easy actions, like activate the bot, enter the bot, maybe daily login. The reward is the minimum. Right? But if you want to actually take leverage of the airdrop and earn some decent money in the end, then we're sorry, but you need to be a user. You actually need to interact with the app in the specific ways that we think are crucial for us. So to sum up, I think any airdrop should start from the Sybil attacks. How will you protect your airdrop from the bots? Then define your target audience. And then, of course, the distribution. Will you just send it to all the users? Will it be a specific user that did the threshold, which is our case, for example, right? And, of course, any other security measures which could come through the authorities, which also should be considered.
Yeah, and do you think there's any benefit in airdrop users that are not, people that are hunting for airdrops? Maybe they sign up. Maybe they do a couple of things. Let's say follow you on Twitter, follow you on Telegram, maybe retweet you. But let's say they're not actually your users. Is there any benefit in having them on? Because I know a lot of companies see is that just having a certain number of followers, just having a certain size of a community. Even if that community doesn't quite translate to users, they still find that to be a benefit. Is that something that you would do as a separate airdrop, or maybe have a different section where the different rules? So maybe you have certain rules where that encourage long-term participation. So okay, if you just do this, we'll give you X amount. But if you, let's say, continue to engage the platform over multiple other campaigns that we're doing, it becomes better and better for you. Do you see any use of that?
Yeah. So I think that the end user is good user, right? In worst case scenario, you will just get the numbers, which are crucial for you as a project, which are crucial for you in terms of the investment and attracting more and more users, right? So even these bots, even these people that are not actually your community and won't provide any value except the numbers, are still provide some value in the end, right? But the trick here, I think, is to actually convert these airdrop hunters into your loyal users. And there's multiple ways how you can do though. The first step is to exactly show the benefit that yes, you can mine the airdrop, you can be a Sibyl, you can build a farm, it's okay, you will earn something. But if you will put a bit more effort, then you'll earn more, right? That's exactly what you want as the Sibyl, right? But in order for you to go to this threshold, right, you still need to learn more about the platform, right, which you're hunting. And then there is a chance that the user will see the value, the benefit, and actually will convert to your loyal fellow user and customer, ideally. Beside that, I think it's important to show the value of the airdrop and of the token, as well as the platform, and provide the ownership, right? Show that the feedback of the users is actually matters, right? Show that with the token you'll be able to vote, for example, how the app or the product will behave in the future. Show that communities actually can say a word, and this word will be counted in the general chat, for example, on an open call, whatever is your marketing strategy. And then even the last farmer, the last airdrop hunter who doesn't care about the project, Web3 technology, there is a chance that he will see a potential, right? And he will learn more, he will get interested, and he will be onboarded.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I think one of the things when it comes to tokenomics as well is how do you sort of keep people incentivized over longer periods of time, right? So one of the things that tends to happen is founders might choose to change the tokenomics. This happens, by the way, a lot after investors have come in, and so there's really like no general rule on how much of a difference you can have from your original tokenomics. So, for example, some people say, oh well, if the valuation of the company is increased, you can go with the higher valuation, but you have to ensure that you still sell the same amount of tokens. So you don't increase the number of tokens that you sell, right? Another way of looking at it is, oh well, if you're able to raise more funds because the value of the company is increased, then maybe lower the number of tokens that you're releasing in the system in the first place, right? So this becomes like a huge issue with founders trying to figure out how to structure their token, and then how to deal with situations like as they arise. So investors will sometimes ask for change in tokenomics. One of the things that tends to happen is people demanding token releases at TGE. So that tends to happen like towards the end when your investor is well aware of how many tokens he's due at various stages in the vesting schedule, but it wants to ensure that he has some sort of TGE because some unlock at TGE because the token tends to pump at TGE. So then they come to you at the last moment saying, hey, can we have some TGE, some of our tokens released at TGE? And then of course you have to essentially redo the tokenomics to try to figure out how to structure it to where everybody is happy. I'm curious whether, when it comes to tokenomics, what has been your experience when creating your own tokenomics? Are these some of the issues that you've encountered?
Yeah, sure. So yeah, exactly. From the beginning, the tokenomics is always a solution that fits the founders, right, needs and wants, the customer base needs, and of course the investors needs. Since in our case we are fundraising through the token, and it's always about these three: community, the project, and the investor. So the solution here is, yeah, just trying to find this golden ratio,
Yeah.
the exact tokenomics schedules or unlock schedules and valuations that will be considered normal to anyone, to everyone. And yeah, I think there is no correct answer, and that never will be. And I think the beauty of the tokenomics and Web3 in general is the flexibility that you can make changes, right?
Yeah.
You're not cutting the tokenomics in stone. If there's a need, you need to make a change, right? And you can argument this change to the product team, community, and the investors. Then everyone should be happy, right?
Yeah.
Because in the end, it's made to make the product better, to make the token better. If we're not talking about rug pulling, for example, I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean, when it comes to airdrop design, how do you ensure that some of the people are in there more for the long term than the short term? Is there a way to sort of construct different airdrops that are designed for different audiences? Because I know that when you're creating an airdrop, one of the main things, ultimately it's a marketing exercise, right? So one of the main things is to sort of determine who is your target audience, like who are you actually going out for? Like you pointed out earlier, in some cases your target audience are already users. So then how to reach them is really easy. What motivates them, you have a lot more information. But when it comes to sort of the broader zeitgeist of everybody in the world, in the Web3 world that you're trying to bring, well, they're not your users. They don't really understand this. They're still trying to learn about what your product is. So curious, like if you have any thoughts on building airdrop design for long-term engagement.
Yeah. So again, it's about providing the value and the use case of the airdrop and the overall flow, right? If you're a gamify, for example, then probably you want to create the airdrop that will be highly binded to your main gameplay, right? Where people can play and can get rewarded. Again, in our case, it's the use of the platform. So you use the platform, you benefit from the platform, and you get additional reward. Even if you, for example, in our case, we have a reward for the stop loss. So when your signal didn't work out and you hit the stop loss, right? We also give you a small airdrop as the just kind of a sweet pill, you know. So it's all about providing the value, right? And choosing the actual target audience compared to the decibels and airdrop hunters, right? And yeah, sure, you can have different airdrops. I think it's absolutely fine. You can combine and of course learn, run maybe as a first airdrop campaign, see how it performs, collect the metrics, and then depending on that, iterate and create the other airdrop and the other. Because airdrop is not something you stop. You can continue it till the life of the product, which could be, and also airdrop could be not only the token, right? It could be the NFT, or maybe it could be some benefit on the platform itself, which is also can be considered as the airdrop in the end. So it's all sum up to your marketing strategy, right? Because the airdrop, in the nutshell, I understand it as the user activation tool, right? So yeah, depends on your marketing goals and what do you want to achieve. And if the airdrop model fits, why not you reuse it as much as you want?
Yeah, and so when it comes to airdrop design, was there something that you guys did sort of uniquely that was like really successful, or what would be one of the sort of main things that you would sort of recommend people try that, let's say, hasn't been tried before by many people?
Yeah, so for us, of course, we wanted to catch this hype of the hamsters and not coins, but the model didn't work out for us, since in the model you click, right,
Yeah.
and then you earn free tokens, which sounds amazing, cool, but it's not something that we want to be associated personally, since we are social trading platform. And our main motto is that we are protecting the trading world from scammers because of the verification of each signal's performance on-chain. So we wanted to create something that will be basically working for both. It will be still a gamified experience, but it won't be so degen as Hamster and Altcoin, right? And I think we found this solution. We have different tiers, right? We have a leaderboard, we have the referral rewards, we have different tasks, fun names of these tasks, right? But everything is being to our platform. So I think don't be afraid to experiment. You for sure need to provide value to yourself, first of all, to the product, because it's your marketing campaign that you're doing, right? And your goal with any airdrop is to attract more users, right? Or increase the engagement and stickiness, neither than just do airdrop because everyone is doing airdrop, right? And not coin a hamster, don't get me wrong, it's a good example, it's a great project, right? And it worked for them, but it doesn't matter that it will work for your product. And what I'm seeing is that this hype is already ending up, but when the top games appeared, a lot of absolutely random projects also started to create their own top games.
Right.
Even some market makers created their own top games, which I still can get it, to be honest.
It's a branding issue, right, when they do that?
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, they are trying to get the hype, but if you just look at with a fresh eye from the perspective, it doesn't make any sense. And I'm sure that a lot of people also understand that it doesn't make any sense, especially quality people.
Yeah.
Airdrop hunters, on the other hand, yeah, I think they love it. The more top games, the more potential, right?
Yeah.
It's a number games, the same as on Tinder, the same as with investors, right? The same as airdrops. It's a numbers game.
I think one of the pitfalls when it comes to designing airdrops is that you're kind of mortgaging your future. It's almost very similar to the Fed and essentially just flooding the market with cheap and easy credit, right? So essentially, you have all these tokens out. People are going to sell those tokens eventually. Like that's why they have them, right? So every token that you release is potential downward selling pressure, is eventual downward selling pressure. At some point in time, they're going to sell that, right? And so it's a question of trying to figure out, even when it comes to staking, a lot of companies will say, hey, you stake this, you'll get massive amounts of tokens. And that's very similar to essentially taking a loan and then worrying about later about how to pay it off.
Exactly.
Right? Because it's very easy to give out a whole bunch of tokens in the early, build a bunch of hype. Pi Network is a really good example of a company that gave out a lot of free tokens and have then really fallen flat on building that out, because again, the reason those tokens exist is to give you operating capital to actually build out your dream. It's not just to distribute them, right? So if you distribute a whole bunch of free tokens, you ultimately end up having to pay that bill down the line and ensuring that there's enough buy pressure to offset that sell pressure. And then now when you start talking about staking, and then you start talking about all these rewards that these guys are earning, sometimes 20x, 30x, it's like that is not sustainable, And this is one of the main pitfalls when it comes to airdrop design.
I just want to ask you, and what do you think are the solutions to prevent all the dumps that can come from the airdrop or other mechanics that projects are doing in order to increase the engagement, right? Yeah. But not to fail the token.
No, I mean, I think it comes down to really having a long-term view of your token, like really thinking about, hey, how is this token going to survive on a long term? I mean, it's very easy to in the short term try to pump a token, but once that bill comes due, you may have done more damage to the point where it's not recoverable. Right? So it comes down to ensuring that the entrepreneurs have a long-term view of the business. Sometimes the way to build value is to actually provide something of value to the user. So let's say you're not just saying, hey, if you stake these tokens, we'll give you more tokens. Like with the Launchpad model, usually what happens is if they stake tokens, they get access to invest in other projects. So they're staking tokens not to earn more of the same token. They're staking tokens to have access to to investment in new businesses, for example, and new companies. So that way, what happens is while you have this token out there and people are staking it, you're not on the hook for massive amounts of tokens that you have to somehow end up giving out, right? And then that becomes one of the pitfalls when it comes to tokenomics in the first place, right? Because when people structure it to where they'll give their advisors, for example, a lot of tokens. And then over time, a lot of these advisors, they're not there looking at the long term. They're looking at, let's say, 2 or 3 years. So for example, if you look at a lot of token distribution schedules, they only last 3 years. Well, what happens after that? Is the company dies in national debt? Like,
I think they're expecting to raise 10 million and then buy back all the tokens. Maybe that's the plan.
Well, I mean, how they would have to raise that from someplace other than the utility that they're building, because their utility is already spoken for in the token that they just created, right? So this happens a lot of times with companies are like they're raising 2 rounds. So they may be raising an equity round and they're raising a token round, right? And they promise the equity investors, hey, guess what? If you invest in us, you're going to do well. Then they take the value that they've already promised to those equity investors and they build it into a token. So now the equity investors really, their value has been carved out and essentially given over to the token holders. And so this is why it becomes really difficult when you're investing in, let's say, on both ends, on an equity basis as well as a token basis. The question is, you have a young company that has very limited value and it's creating value like kind of on the fly, and so now it has 2 masters it has to serve. It has to serve the equity investors and it has to serve the token guys who are already expecting a significant amount of value. So it becomes really difficult, sort of. From that perspective. So I'm curious now, where towards the end of the session, what do you think, more generally speaking, are some of the pitfalls that young entrepreneurs will make, and how would you suggest they get around that?
Yeah, I think actually you already mentioned most of them, but I will just summarize. I think one of the crucial ones is how much tokens will be available on the TGE and the coming few months, and who controls these tokens, right? Because what I think some projects don't realize is that if people will get the same airdrop, right, the same rewards on TGE, they'll probably dump. 90% will dump, right? The same with the investors. Yes, you can think that you can negotiate with them that they won't dump on a TGE, but probably they will. Because in the end, they invested you to make profit, not because you're so great and they love you, right? So it's really vital to calculate how much tokens will be available on TGE, the tokens that hold you and your team, and tokens that holds everyone else. And what I like to do is consider that everyone else will dump immediately. They will sell everything. And then you need to understand, will you have enough of funds to sustain the price, right? Because probably you'll need to buy from the market yourself in order for token to survive and not just to see these beautiful red lines. And of course, put the market making price into your fundraising goals, because you will need a market maker. For the first months, for sure. And probably it's better to have it at least 6 months. But ideally till the end of your product. Hopefully it won't happen, but yeah, let's say next 10 years. Because that's something that sustains the token and allows you to create the price that you desire, that is aligning with your product roadmap, and it aligns with the users and the investors' needs, right? So in the end, everyone prays on you because you are making money for them with your project and with your idea and with your utility.
So I think one of the main pitfalls that I've seen is a lot of young entrepreneurs will spend a great deal of money on development, right? Like they've literally gotten their first check and it's like $100,000, or let's say even $50,000, and instead of putting those funds towards marketing, building out the infrastructure, they put those funds toward building out their product. And I mean, this is fine if what you're building is technologically challenging. So if it's a question whether or not you can technologically achieve what you're saying you're going to achieve, then fair enough. It makes sense to build something out to display that what you're suggesting is actually even possible from a technological perspective. But in some cases, the technology is not the determining factor. The technology might be the same as any amount of other types of technologies maybe put together. Maybe the determining factor is your business relationships and things like that, and then that's the value. So in those cases, it makes no sense to say, oh yeah, guess what? I'll build out an exchange just to show you I can build an exchange. We know as investors that you can build an exchange. Other people have built exchanges. What we want to know is more about you and like what your unique strategy is. So like a lot of entrepreneurs will spend all those funds that they've raised throw it into development, and they don't have the time to sort of really grow. Now that we're at the end, maybe you have some final words. We can.
Yeah. Since we're talking about the airdrops, you have a great chance to check how, in my opinion, good airdrop looks like by going to Cryfi bot on Telegram and earning some airdrop from us, guys. I know that there's a lot of traders here, so would love have you all on our platform since we allow any trader to monetize his skills. So yeah, Cryfi bot on Telegram, go check it out. And if you're investor and angel, we're also will be raising the pre-seed next week. So would love to connect.
Awesome. Jay, we've really enjoyed being part of this event. Definitely follow us at AdLunam Inc. Look forward to being here next time. Thank you.
Thank you, guys.